Welcome back. It's a new week. There's been a lot of really cool things that have been happening, and we have some topics that we're actually really excited to talk about. Some that...
and we have teasers.
Teasers?
About the podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll let you do that. But yes, we do. We do have teasers. We have some fun things coming up. So what did we do this last week, Kate?
Yeah, so I feel like a lot has happened because we celebrated my 34th birthday, which was fun. And we're actually celebrating more tonight. It's the birthday week, right, Josh?
Birthday week. Caitlin is the person that introduced me to the concept of birthday week.
Yeah. So I remember a few times Josh has milked that. He's like, well, you celebrate your birthday for a real long time.
But
so
is it really me milking it if I just expect reciprocity?
Or is it you're like, wow, this girl's got a good idea. I'm going to implement that in my life as well.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get a birthday week if I don't get a birthday week. That's fair.
That's fair. So anyway, that's been super fun. We went and got the free Starbucks birthday drink, and Josh took the day off and spent it with me. We went shopping. I got to pick out a couple things, which, always makes a girl happy.
Yep. We went into Anthropology. I wanted to puke. Because I know that crap is made all in the same sweatshop in Vietnam as the stuff in Walmart. So I don't understand.
I don't know about that, but
okay, maybe a little bit more of an upscale sweatshop. But for real though, why the F are there a pair of pants that are $300? Which we did not buy, by the way. We got some jewelry, which was still. I mean, I'm glad that you're happy and that you enjoyed it. But yeah. Anthropology's a little wild.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't normally shop there. It was, just kind of more aesthetic and fun to look at. I got a little nap in, just kind of laid down for a little bit, and you were so kind to take Noah to that play place in Saratoga Springs.
The Big Green Egg.
Big Green. Yeah, I think it's just the Big Green, right?
I don't know.
Oh, the Big Green Egg.
I thought that's what it was.
No, it's just the Big Green.
Oh.
That reminds me of...
Like Dr. Seuss?
Yeah, Dr. Seuss. That's so funny. And then I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and then I went out to dinner for sushi, which was so fun with some of my girlfriends. And yeah, what are we doing tonight? Do you know, Josh? Do you remember?
We're going to go to Sol Agave and get some butter cake and just celebrate you.
And we're trying out a new plunge place.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Cold plunge and sauna.
Yep. I have a friend who I served in the same mission as who opened it, Mitch Matthews. He owns Flow House.
Do you think he'll remember you?
Yeah, we talk to each other occasionally.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we don't talk every single day. We probably message each other maybe once or twice a year. But yeah.
Okay, cool. He seems nice.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I heard that he went and met Wim Hof.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
A long time ago. He went with a group of guys.
Nice. But he's in the door-to-door industry, right?
He was.
Or he was. Okay.
I think he still kind of is, like on the periphery, but he's not as heavily involved in it anymore.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, he was in it for a big time, and
okay,
he was really.
He did
really
pretty
good.
well, right?
Yeah, he won the same award in sales that I did.
Okay. Anyway, I think that it'll be more of an experience, right? It looks like it has really cool rooms and lighting and the ambiance and everything. So
yeah,
I'm
the vibe
excited.
is very different.
And I think they do a lot of guided meditation, like guided courses or whatever you want to call it, which we've never done with Cold Plunge. Like it's always kind of our own, the ones we've tried, you just do it on your own. So I'm excited to see what it's like. Yeah, there's a lot of companies and businesses and all the things that are opening up in that space, like wellness space, don't you think, in Utah?
Yeah, I would say so.
And
it seems like it's booming. I feel like I can think of like 4.
We've met some really, really cool people though at some of these places. Like we were just talking about, a lot of the people that go to these places are kind of in the same mindset of bettering themselves and growing, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, especially the people that like get the memberships and stuff and come regularly. Like if you go regularly, you meet the same people over and over again, and it's interesting. They're usually pretty interesting people.
Yeah, we actually met someone last night who we were talking to, and I actually do think that God, it feels, has led us to certain people and certain conversations that we've been having lately. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do. I do feel that.
And yeah, so we met someone last night that we were talking to, and she had a lot of ideas, and I would say she had like the growth mindset, wouldn't you? And
we initially found out that she was a trail runner.
Oh yeah.
Because she said that she She mentioned that she had a Garmin that she would sometimes wear, and then she stopped wearing it. That made me think that she was a runner. And then she said that she had a hip injury, like she tore a hip flexor, which that sounds extremely painful, honestly.
Yeah, that does.
Then we asked her how she did it. She said trail running, and then we just talked about trail running. But then we later found out that she's in private equity. That's a pretty serious career.
Yeah, no, she seemed very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
And accomplished. So it was cool to chat with her about, I guess, just like her entrepreneurial mindset, but she hasn't really ever gone for the ideas that she has, right?
Yeah, she was talking about how she's surrounded and she interacts with founders all day long, and how I feel like for her it's inspiring, but also she feels like it's like encouraging because she feels like she can do it.
Yeah. I remember her saying that she's, listening to other people all the time, right? And their business ideas, and kind of more like a fly on the wall in that way. But I think it's fueling her to want to do it herself, because she kind of said that. She's like, I feel like I could totally do it on my own, right?
Yeah.
So we were just talking about in dating, when there's people who you're in a relationship with or dating that don't see, or they see your potential, right? Or your ideas as threatening.
This seems like more of a conversation you had with her, because I don't really remember her saying that to me. But like,
No,
it
yeah.
seems like,
Yeah.
I thought I heard you guys talking about it like in the locker room.
No. Yeah. She definitely like opened up to me a little bit more when we were talking in the locker room, and she was telling me that I just thought this would be an interesting conversation to bring up on the podcast. She was just saying that a guy that she's currently dating, I don't think they're official or anything, but it's only been a few months. And she said that he told her she's too career driven. And so I talked to Josh about that afterwards, and just kind of was a topic of conversation. Just curious what you thought about that.
I think we should add like a little bit more context to like the conversation we had.
Yeah,
with
go
her.
ahead. Yeah.
She thought we were really cool, which was really nice. Like, I think that you don't always hear things like that. Like, I think that she admired our marriage dynamic. We both like are pushing to grow and leaning into like investing in ourselves and trying to be our best selves. And we're supportive of each other in that way. And I also think that she sensed that it's not just me, like even though I'm the business stuff, and she asked me a lot of questions about the business and how it worked, because she's in private equity, the kind of career that she's in, the people that she works for are the kind of people that would buy my businesses or want to buy my businesses. And so she was just intrigued in how each of the businesses I own kind of feed into each other. But I think that what really intrigued her was the dynamic that Caitlin and I have, where Caitlin also, we don't dim each other's light.
Yeah, definitely.
And we both shine.
Yes. Yeah, she did bring that up, that she feels like a lot of the time, almost like the wife is in the background. Or maybe just holding it down at home, or you know what I mean? Like not really a part of the growth or a part of the ideas, or being supported in her ideas as well. And so I thought that was really interesting, because I could tell she was saying she really wanted to grow with somebody, right? And that's something that she really wants in a marriage, where she doesn't feel almost like held back or dimmed down, like you're saying. And so is there more that you'd like to say about it, or?
She had some interesting business ideas. I was asking her, because if somebody tells me that they want to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to probe to see whether or not I'm not going to tell them, but I'm just curious, because I'm a curious person. I'm like trying to evaluate whether or not I think that they would be a good entrepreneur or not, because it definitely takes a specific mindset. It takes a specific type of person to do that. And the ability to find ways to add value to others in a way that can be monetized and is repeatable is a key component to entrepreneurism. That's like one of the basic blocks of it.
Yeah.
But also there's personality aspects of it too.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was asking her questions. She probably didn't realize that that's why I was asking them. I was genuinely curious, but she had some good business ideas. She expressed like how in a partnership, she would like want to do that with her spouse. Like that's what she would get fulfillment out of in a marriage, is building something together with a spouse.
Yes. And I think that she admired that in us, and it gave her hope, because I remember her saying that she's 26. Crazy enough, that's when I went on my mission. And I didn't say that to her, but like I just kept reiterating to her that your path will make sense someday. And I just had faith that, just to tell her that it's not too late for her, or it's not, nothing's wrong with her. Like, that's what she was pretty much saying. She basically did say that like a lot of the people in her life or siblings are already married. They got married super young. It's easy to compare your path with them.
She definitely liked hearing that we got married later at 29.
Yeah. I think she was like, oh, wow, I could actually find somebody and maybe it'll be worth the wait almost, And I think that you're right on time, right, to your life and what's supposed to happen. But sometimes in the thick of it, it doesn't really make sense that you're like, well, why isn't it happening for me? I just think that the guy that she's currently dating, from what she said, I don't think that would maybe be the correct path for her. I mean, that's obviously her decision, but I hope she finds somebody who doesn't dim her light and isn't intimidated by her career and her ideas.
Well, what do you think about that as far as like him saying that he thinks that she's too career driven? I have my opinions on it, but what do you think about it? Like if you were dating a guy and he said that to you, what would you think?
I think I would be annoyed, just because to me, she seems so confident and smart, knowledgeable, all of these things that, why would I want to be with a person that can't see that? Mm-hmm. Like, that's intimidated by that just because she's a female? Like, what's the catch on that? Is it because that man is insecure, or is it because she's female? Like, what is it? I mean, maybe it's both. I'm just saying, I don't really love, like, yes, I would say we've had this discussion, like, we have a little bit of the traditional values when it comes to like male and female, but I think sometimes that's just our strengths and weaknesses. But I still don't feel like because I'm a female, you're like, she belongs in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, I don't feel like that's the energy at all.
And so I just don't like the fact that he said she's too career driven, because I mean, I get that maybe he wants a woman that's like making bread and is going to raise kids for him or whatever he's thinking. But then there's so many guys out there that are like, because I've dated guys too that didn't want that they didn't want me to just be a stay-at-home mom. So what is it? I'm always like, what's the catch here? Like, what do you guys actually want? Do you want a girl who bakes bread, does it all? You know what I'm saying? Like, where are we headed with that? It's just kind of crazy.
Honestly, like let's understand what it really is. Okay. What it really is with this girl, when you're an entrepreneur or you have that gene inside of you, or that's just the way that you are, it's not a career. It's a creative expression. It's a creative outlet that you can't stop. Like, it'd be like
it's who she is, right?
It's who she is.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a wrong thing. It's not something that she should be asked to rein in. And she should never be told or pressed in a way that makes her feel like she would be a less than mother or a less than wife because of that. I think that you and I are examples of people that don't dim each other's lights, and we found a dynamic that works. We found a dynamic that works and is truly, in our opinion, what's best for our children and best for our life.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I do think it's better. I mean, look, I'm not trying to throw shade at people who aren't entrepreneurial who aren't like as growth mindset in that way, because growth can look a lot of different ways. There's like being a homemaker can be a creative outlet as well, just as much as entrepreneurism. What I'm trying to say is that just because it looks different than maybe tradition or like what the patriarchy, might think it looks like.
From last week's episode?
Yeah, from last week's episode.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that that's actually true. In fact, it's not true. Having a creative outlet, that's a God-given trait.
Like an innate gift.
It's an innate gift
Yes.
that we get from our heavenly parents. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that should ever be shamed. It's not something that
Do you think everybody has that in them or no?
I mean, if we're the children of the most creative being in the universe, yeah, I think that it's probably pretty innate that we're here to create in some way.
Yeah.
It's
just like, what is that going to look like? Yeah.
Yeah, it might look different to other people, but who's who to say that somebody's doing it wrong?
Yeah.
And who's to say that they can't find the right balance for them? But
So I'm curious if that was your daughter and she told you that a boy, let's say, said that to her, what would you say?
I don't think if my daughter heard that from a dude, I don't think that she would need to even ask me my opinion. I think that she would know that that dude's a loser and it's not the right dude for her. Like if my daughter has aspirations of creativity and growth, I'm going to be nurturing that her entire childhood. So the moment that any guy tries to put like a basket over her light, she's going to have these warning signs go off and she's going to listen to them.
That's so true, though, now that you say that, because last night I was listening to the voicemail that my dad left me a couple years ago on my birthday. And I just like hearing his voice. Honestly, sometimes it's hard to hear it because I miss him so much, but it's also comforting because I was listening to it and I was thinking, wow, my dad really did instill that in me. Like what you're saying, I felt like he believed in me. I feel so lucky that way though, because I don't think every single person gets that from a parent, but I really felt like that secure attachment that I had with my dad made me really want to find a guy who not only saw my worth, but would help me on the path to what I was supposed to do, right? And that believes in me and all of those things. And so, like you said, that's the goal for us to do that for our children. So when they are dating and they find somebody, they realize that, you know what? No, I don't want to be with somebody like that because that's not the person for me. Like I want to be with somebody who supports me, believes in me, is my number one fan, is going to get me to where I need to go, right? And obviously that's up to you too. Like I'm not putting that on you. I'm saying that deep down I have to know my worth too, right? And I have to believe in myself. But obviously it helps being with a partner that believes in you too, right? It's a joint thing. And so anyway, I just hope that Indy and Noah feel that from us someday. And I know that I really feel that from my dad still to this day. Like I feel him with me, cheering me on and believing in me. And I really want that for other people too, you know? I just got excited after talking to that girl last night and I just wanted her to see. I'm like, girl, you have so much worth. You're amazing. Like you could do anything you put your mind to. Don't let any guy tell you that it's too much, that you're too much, your dreams are too much, all of those things. Because the right guy would never think that. He'd be like, you're a badass and you should go for that. And I want to help you get there.
And honestly, there shouldn't be any cultural connotation to it. Like that's just like the absolute truth. Like this whole mindset of that's breaking the mold. I don't even agree with that. I don't think
you don't.
No, I think it's being
okay.
true to who you are. Like I think that's how it's really supposed to be.
So to you, it's not even like gender related.
No,
Really?
I mean, I think that
Is that societal then more is what you're
it's
getting
cultural.
at? Or cultural?
It's more cultural.
Okay.
And I don't think that that's the relationship dynamic between Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother.
Yeah, we
at
had
all.
this discussion. Yeah.
Like if you had a conversation with Heavenly Mother and you told her that a guy said that to you, I think that she probably wouldn't like that. Because like, let's be really clear about what it is. It's not somebody that's wanting to shirk their responsibilities as being a mother. It's a creative outlet. You're creating. There's nothing that's more sacred than creating, whether that's through a family, whether that's through business. Like the process of thinking about something spiritually and then bringing it into the world.
Well, that's the most fulfilling.
It's the most fulfilling, and it's the closest we can get to being like God right now. That's why I feel like business and parenting, in the same way, there's an inherent spirituality to them. And I feel like if you lose that, it can be really dangerous. And so I think that just dumbing that down to pure societal roles or just saying you're too career driven, that's
or
not
to
what it is.
pacify somebody or to make somebody feel more comfortable, right?
Yeah, like if a guy needs like a chick to be needs to dim somebody's light for them to feel comfortable, then they're a loser. I'm sorry. That's
Take the L.
That's a you problem, bro. That's a you problem, and maybe you should go date less cool girls. Sorry. Go
Oh my gosh.
go find something else, but
I just think these men need to step up. Let's be honest.
probably.
I just keep hearing these stories over and over again of like these baddie girls that these guys aren't cutting it, is what I'm saying. Let's step it up. Let's step it up, guys.
I just think that there's some things about culture that just like are irrelevant. They're not irrelevant. They're not relevant to what truth actually is. And truth is that you're just as creative and have just as much of a right to express creativity as I do.
Well, like even last night when we were in the sauna and you were telling her, like, my wife is way cooler than me. Like whenever you say that, I'm always like, I don't know. It's
freaking true. People like you more than they like me.
That doesn't mean I'm cooler than you.
You are
know?
cooler than me.
No, but just like the fact that you even say that about me is just really sweet, because I feel like a lot of people might look at us and think he's way more successful, right? You've done way more than I have when it comes to business, entrepreneurship. I mean, you're killing it, you know?
Our story is still really young though.
Yeah, our story is still really young.
And you're now in a position where you're going for things. And the honest truth is, if you go for something long enough and you just don't stop, you'll get where you want to go.
No, it's true.
Especially since you have you have the ability to do it.
Yeah, it just means a lot though that like you talk me up to other people and you believe in me and you see that in me. That's the secret sauce, is what I'm saying.
That's what attracts me to you. I remember going on dates with girls who are more pacifist, or I don't know, like I could tell that they'd just be down with whatever it is I want to do. I don't want a relationship like that. Like I never wanted a relationship like that. And so like my dad would tell me I was dumb because I wouldn't, like, if I felt like a girl was like quote unquote too nice, I wasn't down. It's not that you're not nice. You're very nice. You're very nice, but you also have an opinion. Mm-hmm. You have an agenda, and you get from point A to point B trying to get your agenda accomplished. Like you fill space, and you don't just expect me to fill the whole entire room, which in my own sphere of influence, I'm okay with filling the room. I like that. But I'm attracted to somebody that also has their own space.
Yeah, I agree. That's nice. I'm just grateful that we both support each other in our dreams. And I remember even last night saying that you didn't feel like you could actually build these businesses and go for the things you've gone for until you were married to me.
Yeah, I didn't. And honestly, I wasn't interested in it until we were married. And then once we got married, I had like this internal compass that all of a sudden was like, all right, it's time.
But I wonder, like, to speak on that, was it the pressure of being married, or was it like, wow, I have somebody now that believes in me and supports me?
It was that.
I can do this.
Yeah. I mean, the pressure, dude, we were making good money. And when we left that current situation, we made significantly less money for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
But now you and I have pretty much complete freedom to do whatever the hell it is that we want. Like, it's not as if, like, we haven't totally arrived when it comes to like monetary compensation, but when it comes to what I want to do for work, like how hard I want to lean into it, I have a lot of freedom now, you know? But
like, that's what's so cool about, I think, when you find somebody who can build things with you and believe in you, it's like you can literally accomplish anything you want. You put your mind to what you're saying. You truly can. And I want that for everybody, you know? I really, really do. And it like lit a fire in me last night when I was talking to that girl, because I'm like, I just want you to find somebody that believes in you, you know, and takes you there. So hopefully this inspires people to be that person and also attract that person for, you know.
And to men, I promise you'll go a lot further. You will go a lot further if you have a spouse that supports you and also has ambitions. And look, that doesn't have to be entrepreneurial. If they're passionate about motherhood, like, date somebody that has passions. Date somebody that wants to get things done, that wants to be a shaker and a mover, that wants to do things, you know? That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So the topic today, me and Josh had talked about this a little bit. We've heard the term before, cafeteria Mormon. So when you hear that term, when I said that to you, what did you think I meant?
I think that it could mean two things. People that want to selectively choose which rules they follow, or which quote unquote commandments, or what points of doctrine they agree or disagree with, or, and I think that this is what it really is for most people, which cultural aspects of the gospel or the church are they like willing to partake of or not partake of?
Picking and choosing.
Yeah, essentially picking and choosing.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, if it comes to culture, I absolutely am a picker and a chooser because culture is not doctrine. Policy's not doctrine. We've talked about this before.
So, because my question to you, which I've heard this, our generation, I feel like other people have looked at our specific generation and said millennials, and you could even say zillennials between, Gen Z and millennial. They're kind of like, you know what? I take that, I leave that. It works for me. It doesn't work for me. But they have said, the previous generation before us, that we had so much pressure on ourselves to do this or that, where our garment, for example,
Well, let's be really clear. Let's be really clear about what this means, at least what it means to me. Yeah, I do wear my garments. I mean, it's nobody's business, but yeah, I wear my garments every single day. I think that there's doctrinal things, like if it's between me and God and a promise I made to God, I do my best. I'm not perfect, but I try my very best to fulfill my covenants. But when it comes to me wearing a white shirt on Sunday at church, which I do, by the way, do I think that somebody should be called a cafeteria Mormon because they decide to wear a black shirt? Where in the hell in the scriptures does it say anything about wearing a white shirt or a black shirt? It doesn't. It doesn't say anything about it. Where in the hell in the scriptures does it actually say you should not get tattoos? It doesn't. Paul talks about your body being a temple, but he's talking about it, the context of it, he's talking about it being a temple for your spirit. And even Christ has said that it's not the things that are in your body that defile you, it's what comes out. It's like the words that you speak. So when it comes to things like tattoos are not doctrinal. It's procedural, it's cultural, and
societal.
It's societal. It's not a doctrinal thing. Now,
who is it really picking and choosing, right?
Well, it depends. So there's more nuance with this, in my opinion, than what ultimately meets the eye. And because there's nuance in this, it leaves a lot of room for judgment because you can't always infer where people are really coming from, which is why you shouldn't judge. But when it comes to me and my tattoo and why I got it, I feel extremely confident that I'm good.
You made the right decision.
That I made the right decision for me.
Yeah.
But let's be really clear on why that is, okay? So number one, is this decision bringing me closer to God, more in alignment with his teachings, with the doctrine of Christ, faith, repentance, baptism, enduring to the end, all of that? Or is it a sign of rebellion? For me, it was never about rebellion. It was about having a reminder of something that I felt like God wanted me to do, and I was brave enough to do it, even if it was counterculture. And so I chose to do it because I felt like God wanted me to.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. What is your intention?
Yeah.
Right.
What is your intent?
Yes.
And you honestly have an opinion about this too with your tattoo.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And that's something that I really thought about with this topic, just because I do feel like at the time in my life when I did get a tattoo, it was to almost like make a statement kind of and just try out things and see how it made me feel, and just, I would say, a little bit more of rebellion. And so that's why I feel like sometimes the feelings attached to it maybe aren't the best, maybe just because of, who I was dating, the intention, all of those things. I still don't regret it though, because I feel like I needed to do that on my own, like make that decision, and it led me to other feelings or thoughts or decisions. But I do think intention matters, and
intention is one of the things that matters the most. Intention doesn't excuse imperfection, which none of us are perfect, Let me put it this way. I think that Jesus looks a little bit more than skin deep. That's what I think. I think that Jesus looks a little bit more than skin deep. And the honest truth is that we're all going to get new bodies anyways.
But I also like to be a little bit more relatable. And I would like people to look at me as somebody who is, I don't know, quote unquote normal. But I just think like there's a lot of LDS people out there that maybe you could look at and think that they're really rigid or judgmental.
No, dude, there's absolutely Pharisees. Like there's absolutely Pharisees who they've taken it beyond the mark, beyond what God ever intended.
And growing up in Utah, that was really hard for me sometimes because I really felt an internal push to not look or be that way because I wanted others to feel like they belong and they're loved. And there's so much more to people than a tattoo or this or that, right? And so for me, I do kind of, you even said that to me, that you kind of wanted a tattoo in a way for people to feel like you are relatable or they could talk to you or they're loved
Yeah.
or right. And it strikes up conversation, you know, because you look at somebody and you're like, oh, I wonder why she got that if she's LDS, or you know what I'm saying? And so I don't really know what that intention is there.
Well, let me say this. It's definitely not to relate to the judgmental person. It's to relate to the person that's on the fringe. That, you know, if somebody was maybe a little bit more Christ-like, maybe not judgmental, was relatable.
Yeah.
And they felt like they were approachable, somebody that could spark a conversation about Christ or the gospel or be a difference maker.
But I also don't even like that thought of looking at somebody and thinking they're quote unquote on the fringe because they have that.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that people that are rigid would look at you and say that.
But I'm saying I don't like that thought process.
I mean, I don't like it either, but it's just the way that it is.
I know. We've talked about this before, that I want to be the kind of parent that teaches my children to not look at tattoos as like, if you have that, you are an on the fringe person or you are a bad person, right?
No, they're not.
Because I just don't believe that at all.
With that being said, sorry, I have a lot of like thoughts on this. If you want to keep going, you can. I can just chime in later.
Oh no, you're fine. I just don't agree with that mindset. That's really what it is. I just want to be, like I said, more open, loving, all of those things, and I want my children to feel that way. Too.
For me, if my children want to get tattoos, I'm okay with it if it follows like some parameters.
No, I get what. Yeah, I
and
get
these parameters are areas of nuance. Like to me, if it's a sign of rebellion, or if it's like rebelling against, I don't know, if they think that they're rebelling against God, probably not the best move. But I think that we'll raise our children in a way where they would recognize that that's not inherently against God, just because some boomer says it is. You know, it's just not.
Yeah.
Just because a boomer and their parents ingrained in them that tattoos are of the devil.
I think sometimes it really is just a personal decision with certain things. Like you said, there are certain things that are in the scripture. They're in the commandments. It's doctrinal. It's different. And so it is nuanced, some of these topics. Like it really is. And I don't know, like, what would you say? Is it the time period we live in? So like moving from tattoos, if we're talking about garments, is it the time period that we live in? Because I have heard this a lot, and we could go into this in a deeper episode about garments specifically, but like the new garments coming out, I see TikToks and I see people talking about this all the time about like the trauma they experienced with not being able to show their shoulders. And now all of a sudden, oh, wow, we're getting tank top garments. That's awesome. Cool. But when I was LDS, I felt this way about it, right? And people made me feel like I couldn't wear this or that.
You know, I feel for people that felt that way, I'm not discounting their experiences at all. I'm not. But what I would say is that I don't think that there's anything sacred about anything in like this area right here on my garment. It's not sacred. It's just a piece of cloth. The markings, those in of themselves and where they're in general supposed to be, that's sacred. Okay? So like, let's not pretend like the garments haven't changed significantly throughout time. They have. Like in Joseph Smith's time, they were freaking long johns. Like, let's not pretend like culturally it doesn't follow cultural norms of the day. That's like the whole shoulder thing, that's more parental and societal. Because I bet you if you asked some random chick in Ghana, she probably wouldn't have had the same experience as a teenage girl in Utah in like the 80s.
Right?
Yeah, that couldn't have a bikini.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure she, like the shame or the frustration. This is why, like, when somebody says the church just creates like negative culture, I don't agree with that at all.
Or they're just like,
it's a worldwide
now
church.
The church wants to change it. Why? You know what I mean?
It's definitely not because of trying to keep up with like, it's definitely not like a fear-based motivation. Really, I think that what it is I think that people our age or people that are like a little bit more open, I feel like we're becoming more in alignment with what God really wants. And I think that that's the beautiful thing about the LDS faith and the church as a whole, is that it's run by very imperfect people. Over time, we strive to become more in alignment with God and his teachings. Like you could take, there's so many examples of this. And like, it's not even just us. You could look at other dispensations like Christ's church when he established it. I've said this in the podcast before. Was it very Christ-like that Peter didn't want to spread the gospel to the Gentiles? No, it wasn't. And so like there's aspects of culture that change and get more in alignment with the doctrine of like what's true and what's real, in that Gentiles and Jews were all children of God, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I'm like bridging these different topics, but there's an underlying thread. There's an underlying thread here that essentially, in my mind, it allows for truth to stand on its own while also not demanding perfection from imperfect people. It's like God has always worked through imperfect people. I can't think of a single time in the history of existence that other than Christ, God has worked through people that are perfect, because it just doesn't exist.
Something that ChatGPT said when we talked about this with it, going to kind of what you're saying, it says that there's a difference between rebellion and reflection. And it says if someone's picking and choosing out of defiance or selfishness, it might feel hollow. But if they're choosing based on prayer, study, and alignment with their values, that's sacred work.
And as long like alignment with, I would say alignment with their values, that I don't know that I agree totally. I kind of agree with that. The values should be the values of the gospel, faith, repentance, baptism, endurance to the end, like those things. My tattoo, and if I choose to get other tattoos, the only reason why I would choose to get them is because they help remind me to stay in alignment with God. And I think that a part of the issue with tattoos in the past is that they were looked at purely as a sign of rebellion, instead of understanding the nuance of what they really are.
But also though, this comes down to personal revelation, I think.
It does.
Your specific relationship with your Heavenly Father and your Savior.
And I would say that people choosing to be judgmental or not is more of a test for them than it is for the person getting the tattoo.
If something looks different than the standard path, I just think that me and you, we both believe in progression over perfection.
Absolutely.
And I think that's how Christ views it. And
that is how he views it.
Sometimes I have gotten, and I think that's more societal, maybe cultural, I have gotten into the side of perfection where you're thinking about the checklist and you're wrestling with the checklist. I need to do come follow me. I need to go to the temple. I need to wear this, wear that. Those are all good goals to have. I'm not saying that. You should have goals. You should have standards. You should have morals, all of those things. But I feel like your testimony comes from the agency aspect and the wrestle of all of it, right? Because you have to figure out what works for you personally inside that sphere. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I think that
it's just not black and white all the time. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's not black and white. But when it comes to quote unquote picking and choosing, I don't feel like we pick and choose. Tattoos, it's not like it automatically falls in that category. It has a lot to do with intention and whether it's bringing you more in alignment with God or not. That's the bottom line. There's other religions out there where tattoos are very religious, and you get them as a show of love for the divine.
It's a symbol.
It's a symbol.
Yeah.
It's symbolic.
Yes.
And do I think that God thinks less of those people? Absolutely not. Why the hell would he? He's not that way. He sees the heart. He sees the heart. And honestly, if there's anything that the LDS faith needs right now, and I would argue it's not even necessarily the faith, I would say it's the culture, specifically Utah culture or American or Western LDS culture. They need to learn to be less judgmental. They need to learn to understand that the letter of the law, if held to so tightly, they run the risk of becoming Pharisees. And a lot of times they do go to that place. And that's what Christ, I feel like if Christ came to earth right now, I think there'd be a lot that he's really happy with, but I do think he would be unhappy with that aspect of culture.
But I do think that that's what leads a lot of people to leave. Is the pressure.
And the sad thing is that people think that that's the church. It's not even the church. It's the reason why it's not just the church is because it's a worldwide church, and that's not a universal experience. If it was just the church, it would be a universal experience across the globe. It's not. It's not a universal experience. It's a sad experience. It's a real experience.
And it's dramatic.
And it's dramatic, and it's traumatic.
That's what. But
it's not the church. Yeah. It's lame bishops who, let's be honest, they're just lame people. They're doing their best, but they're imperfect.
Yeah.
Or you'd like to think that they're doing their best.
Or it comes from what they were taught. in their own families.
Yeah,
You
think
know what
about
I'm
it.
saying?
The people that are running the church, like let's be really clear. How interesting is it that this shift in tattoos when it comes to the Strength for Youth pamphlet, and now like there's absolutely a shift happening in culture. This is being pushed by the brethren who are in their freaking 90s. I mean, come on. If those people aren't extremely forward thinking,
Yeah.
like they're more forward thinking than the middle like rung of leadership, where bishops might say, no, you shouldn't do that. Or you might have a bishop that says masturbation is a reason why you should get disfellowshipped or you shouldn't take the sacrament. It's like, I don't like, there's a little bit, I think that the brethren are absolutely ahead of the curve. And I think it's just a matter of time before that becomes a little bit more clear. And instead of people thinking like what it really is, it's not the LDS church trying to change. It's culture changing because culture changes. It's not the tenets of the doctrine.
We've had
that's
this
changing.
discussion about Joseph Smith, and I mean, we'll get more into these topics in the future, but it's the lens, right, that we've talked about with Joseph Smith and the time period of polygamy and all of these things. Like,
Yeah.
do you think that plays a role in all the things we're talking about?
I think that the lens absolutely plays a role. It's a really hard to discard the lens of like what I mean by that is that people are products of their environment. And it's very hard to separate that. And it's honestly, it's not fair all the time to judge a different time period by the lens that you have right now, because what they saw and what they felt and what their truth wasn't exactly the same. The only thing that you really can measure people by is their intent and their effort to follow through with their intent.
Yeah.
And even then, you shouldn't judge. It's none of your business.
Yeah, literally. Just stay in your own lane. How about that?
Stay in your lane. Salvation is a very personal thing.
You're right.
It's a very personal thing. Like how somebody chooses to worship God is very personal. And truthfully, it's none of your business. It's a personal relationship.
Just like we said earlier about,
But
all those decisions.
exaltation, like you and I, that's a you and I thing. That's a marriage thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is why somebody shouldn't date somebody that says something like you're too career focused, when the truth is that's not really what it is. It's something that's divine. The desire to create in and of itself is a divine attribute that we inherit from our heavenly parents.
And remember when we had the episode with Sam from Sauce Media Group? Yeah. We talked about that on the podcast, remember? And you were saying in business, you create worlds. And she agreed.
You do create worlds. You create, it's like it is the process of creation. God created things spiritually and then physically. We create something in our mind and then we bring it into the world.
Yeah.
It's a pattern. It's a divine pattern. And somebody that says that your desire to do it a specific kind of way is wrong, screw them. They're not for you. Like, I think that that's just the way that it is. Like, they're not right for you. You shouldn't ever date somebody, and you sure as hell shouldn't marry somebody that ever wants to dim your light.
I agree. So you guys can already probably tell some of the episodes recently, we have kind of been diving deeper into religion, God, our LDS beliefs, our moral compass, framework, all of those things. Josh and I have been chatting a lot about the direction of the podcast and where we're wanting to go. And I do feel called to talk about the things that we've talked about. I'm really proud of the things we've done so far. And I will say, this is me just being completely raw and honest, that I have, grown up LDS, and in Utah it can be very nuanced and hard sometimes because of the culture. But I do feel like I'm in a good place to really go in this direction. And that's kind of what we want to do as a couple, is have more of a niche and talk about just not being afraid to talk about these topics, right? And it is our beliefs, and it is something that we're proud of, and it is something that genuinely does bring us joy and peace in our lives. And so it's exciting. It really is exciting, the things that we're going to do with the podcast. And I feel like God is leading us and guiding us to do these things. And so I just want everyone to get, excited for the topics that we have for the future. It's not to say that we're, not going to talk about other things outside of religion and God, because we totally will. But that's kind of the direction that we're headed.
Yeah. I think that what people can expect is that it'll be more about our lived religion experience. Because the truth is that it permeates every aspect of everything that we do. How we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our children, how we feel about what we do in our day-to-day. And that's not to say that we're perfect. We don't pretend to be in any way. There's a lot of people, I feel like there's people that would have disagreements with us over, our positions on certain aspects. And I definitely don't feel like I'm somebody that should be labeled as a progressive Mormon. I'm not progressive in anything. I just feel like it's either true or like there's aspects of it that are true and there's aspects of it that are just culture. We feel passionate about our faith, and truly it permeates us so deeply that it's the scaffolding of our life.
And I hope that doesn't turn people away. And if it does, I understand. But I know that the right people will find us and be open to what we have to say, because I do think that we are cool and we're normal, and you can also be LDS and be kind and
not be a square.
Yeah, non-judgmental and unique and loving, more Christ-like. Like those are all the things that we strive to be. And there's just exciting things coming, We have, colors that we're kind of teasing, which I'm sure you've noticed. We have a possible name that could be coming for the podcast. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of LDS influencers and people that we've talked to, which has been so fun as well. And that's something that we would like to do in the future too, wouldn't you say, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to more people, just like-minded people. And I feel, like I said, really called to do this. I would be lying to say that I'm not nervous, but I don't want to let that hold me back anymore. And I really feel like I need to start going into a new era of doing things that I'm passionate about and I believe in and that I'm good at, right? And I hope everybody feels empowered and passionate when they listen to our podcast, not only from Josh's entrepreneurial mindset.
Or my rant.
Oh, your rants. Yeah, that. But I'm just saying, you are a person that a lot of people look up to, and just I think you get people excited to do things that they believe in and that they're passionate about, right? And I think everyone out there that's listening could see that in us, that we're passionate and we almost are doing truly what we feel like God not only expects of us, but to reach our full potential is through him and with him. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I'm just interested in continuing to document our life and our discipleship of Christ. I'm not afraid to follow it wherever it takes us. As long as we know that we're in alignment with God, with the doctrine of Christ, that we're doing our best to follow the prophet, I don't think that we'll go astray. I think that there's probably more areas in relation to church culture. And look, this isn't something that we're necessarily trying to explore. We're trying to find all the gray areas so we can do whatever we want to do. That's not what we're trying to do. But I feel like there's a lot of areas like that, probably more than people realize, where God probably really doesn't care. He cares more about the intent of your heart. But I think that if there's anything that I'm nervous about, I would say that people will probably have opinions on our opinions about that. But I'm ready to stand up for my beliefs. So whether that comes from inside of our faith or outside of our faith, I don't care.
And just know, we know that we're imperfect. And there's so many things that we want to be better at, we struggle with personally, individually, right? And so I just hope that people will realize that we're normal and we're not trying to project perfection. Yeah, we're definitely not. It's like I said, it's progress over perfection.
And honestly, we're not even trying to say that people should follow us.
No, yeah. I said,
we're just trying to document our journey, and we feel like this is something that will be interesting for our future children and grandchildren. And it's like a journal,
Yeah. But I also think we're pretty dope. So I think I think you should stay. There's just exciting things coming. So it's going to be good.
Signing out.
Thanks so much, guys, for listening. If you like this episode, share it with your friends, your family, rate, subscribe, review, and we really appreciate all the support thus far and can't wait to share more of the journey. So thanks so much for listening and welcome to the zoo.